Welcome to the JJ Virgin Lifestyle Show with celebrity nutrition expert, fitness Hall of Famer, and four-time New York Times bestselling author, JJ Virgin. JJ is a warrior mom whose knowledge and expertise have helped change hundreds of thousands of lives with over 3.5 million podcast downloads and appearances on Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, The Today Show, Rachel Ray, Larry King Live.
Whoa. This show is about you, not about me. I want to help you find practical, real-world ways to dial in your health and mindset so you can finally lose that weight and feel strong and energized. Stop settling for less than your personal best. It's time to find out how to look and feel better than ever. And I'll be right here with you the whole way.
I have one of your favorites, all-time favorites with me today. I have Dr. Sara Gottfried with me today because she has an awesome new book out. You are going to want to grab this book and her quiz. You'll get more information on this at jjvirgin.com/brain body diet. You're going to want to take this assessment she has there. But if you never have heard my podcast with Dr. Sara Gottfried, you're going to want to listen to some of the other ones. We'll put those in the show links as well. Let me tell you a little bit about her, and I'm going to tell you a little bit, give you little highlights. This book is super cool. I think this might be my favorite of all of her books. She has The Hormone Cure, The Hormone Reset Diet, and Younger, a breakthrough program to reset your genes, reverse aging, and turn back the clock 10 years. New York Times bestselling author, certified yoga teacher, MIT biohacker, and Harvard Medical School grad, and buddy of mine, and just an awesome researcher, awesome scientist. And we're going to be talking today about the adipostat and really, do you have a fat set point, and how do you shift that fat set point in your favor? And it is really super cool stuff. You are going to flip out. I swear you're going to flip out. But before we get to that, I do also want to give you a little heads up. And I'm going to read this review. It's a 3-star review, and it's a 3-star review because of this issue. It says sound quality ruins the show. 4 stars. 4 stars. I still got 4 stars. VP Amy. Why? I'll have to read other reviews. Maybe the sound's been addressed. Sounds like a tin can. Okay. We have been working on the sound. I also have told my team if anything doesn't sound fabulous, you must let me know and we re-record. So I'm just giving you a heads up on this one because Sara has a little bit of a voice issue. So sometimes it might get a little muffled here, but the information's totally worth it. And I'm hoping that when it uploads on her site, it will be awesome. The information, she is fantastic. You're going to love everything that you hear. And I also super appreciate you, VP Amy, for leaving that review. Still giving us 4 stars despite the sound issue and letting us know. We are here to serve and to do whatever we can do to give you the best possible experience and also bring the coolest people to you who can give you information that you can put into immediate action, which you'll totally be able to do today, by the way. Dr. Sara Gottfried, my buddy, welcome back to the show. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here.
Well, it's kind of lame that I have to wait for your new books to be able to talk to you. So I hope maybe you'll start writing a book a month.
You know, if I can see you that often, yes, I will.
Yeah, just start writing 10-pagers so we have some excuse. We'll go on social. So I would love to dive into this new one because I actually know nothing about this new book because literally the last time I talked to you, well, we had a short talk somewhere. I remember I was sitting on the curb waiting for an Uber talking to you somewhere. Yeah, I think I was in Minnesota. I was in Minnesota talking to you on the curb waiting for an Uber. So I did talk to you between that and the other book, Social. So we are doing better than I thought, but we need to do better than this. But let's dive into this new book because this is kind of fun. I get to ask you questions and I really don't know anything about it. So this book, Brain Body Diet, what inspired you?
Yeah, you know, I feel like not enough people talk about the role of the brain, especially when it comes to managing your weight. I feel like body weight set point is such an important piece of the story, and it's like the elephant in the room that nobody's talking about. And JJ, you were actually there when I started to think about this, because what happened for me was that in 2015, I fainted and I hit my head.
Oh, I remember very well.
I'm sure you feel right.
Yes, right next to me, you fainted. It was like the slow motion. Whoa! Oh my gosh! But nothing like fainting around Srini Pillay and Tom O'Brien and Dave Asprey and and a lot of hot paramedics and Alan Christensen, right?
Exactly. So I picked a really good crowd.
Yeah, you did.
But what happened, and you were by my side in the emergency room. Thank you so much. You showed up as such a good friend.
Hey, I slept with you that night. Let's like me and Alan slept with you all night. So there you go. Everyone now knows more than they needed to know. But no, we were making sure she was okay. She had a coma. She was, or not a coma, concussion.
I had a concussion. I had what looked like a seizure afterwards. It turned out it wasn't a seizure, but I hit my head hard enough that I had these convulsions. And so I'm saying this not because I think people need to hit their head to have this realization, but instead, what happened as I recovered was I realized so many of my issues with weight and also with hormones like anxiety and depression and burnout related to my brain. And I just never kind of put it together before, this brain-body connection. So that's what I figured out that night. In fact, it was January 31st, 2015, that you held vigil over my body. And that's the this book, Brain Body Diet.
Wow. Well, see, good things can come out of challenging situations. So
exactly right. And
there is the positive of all that. I know it was really scary for all of us. To see that all happen. So I'm glad something good came out of it. And you threw something out there, and it's funny. I haven't heard this for so long, because remember back, was it in the 70s or 80s? There was Set Point kind of came out, and people talked about Set Point, and then it just got shelved.
Yeah, Set Point. It's funny. I mean, you and I were like 2 years old in the 70s, but
not born yet. You weren't born. I was sadly right wrong there. I was 10.
Yeah. Set Point. It had a little hurrah a long time ago, but I think especially as we learn more about the gut-brain connection, Set Point's become part of the conversation again, because it turns out that, a lot of your genes control your set point, but what you put in your mouth, the kind of microbes that you keep company with, the toxins you're exposed to, all of those things impact your set point. So I think set point's really crucial to consider. And in fact, there's even a gauge for it. It's called the adipostat. And I'm sure you've heard that term before.
And I was super excited when I saw what was going on with this book. I'm like, ooh, we are going to talk about very cool things.
Yeah, we're gonna get geeky.
Yeah, well, we're going to jump around a little bit. Let's just dive into the adipostat, and then we'll go back and we'll start talking about some other stuff. Let's go there first.
Yeah.
What is it? Let's talk about it.
So I think of the adipostat like a thermostat. In other words, a temperature gauge. But instead of regulating temperature, we're regulating fat, whether you burn or store fat. It also regulates food behavior. So it's located in the brain. And if you want to know the specifics, it's in the hypothalamus. And it adjusts your fat mass up or down, depending on your hormones, your brain chemicals, your toxin level, as well as other parts of your environment. So that's what the adipostat is.
So, and you said you broke up a little bit. You got a little muffled. It adjusts your what in response to those things?
It adjusts your fat. So whether you burn fat or store fat, it's like a fat regulator.
So what are the things that are moving it in the right or wrong direction?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of the things that you and I talk about obsessively, like the food that you eat, the timing of the food, whether you're creating metabolic flexibility, whether you're managing your blood sugar, whether you're exercising regularly, whether you're controlling stress. And I like to get specific with that, as you know, and the toxins that you're exposed to. So those are kind of the key things that control the adipostat. But the problem is the adipostat can get screwed up more easily than you might realize. It's almost like a thermostat that's in a room where a window is left open. It's just very hard for the thermostat to work against that window. And so we have to figure out, okay, what are the windows that are open in the body and how do we close them so that this fat gauge, this adipostat, can work properly again?
Okay, so what are the windows open in the body?
Well, we can start first with food. So one of the things that inflames the adipostat is to eat too much sugar, to eat refined carbohydrates, to drink too much alcohol. Ooh, there I said it. And also disrupting your gut, so eating in a way and behaving in a way that pokes holes in your gut lining, that disrupts your gut barrier. So that, again, is stress, that's alcohol, it's toxins like glyphosate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you look at it and go, okay, what is the issue here with gluten? Obviously, you've got the issues with making your gut more permeable, but then you have all the issues with the glyphosates too, and the wine. You wonder with a lot of these California wines, is it the glyphosates? Like, I don't drink California wine anymore at all, by the way.
What are you drinking, JJ?
Only dry farm wine. Shout out to my buddy Todd over there, who's sponsored my wedding. You gotta love dry farm. They sponsor Mindshare. They sponsor my wedding. And I'm listening to this, and what's super cool about this stuff is you've got a different angle on it now. But when you look at it, whether we're talking about looking at gut permeability and reducing inflammation by getting rid of the foods you're intolerant to and what happens there, you're talking about genetic expression and shifting some of the epigenetic responses. It always comes down to some of these similar things. It's not like we're going to come out of left field and go, so
it's true.
A lot of this is just going, here's a bigger reason for do it. It's this control system over here. But you mentioned one, you kind of slid it in, and I was so excited to hear it. And this morning I spent the morning yakking with Joe Mercola, and he's got a really interesting book coming out, but he's been studying fasting and intermittent fasting and time restricted eating and meal timing. And I think one of the most exciting things that's really come out of the research over the last 5 years is everything on timing. It's not just what you eat, but when you eat. And, it kind of was ridiculous when it first came out, because I did this. I don't know if you remember this. I went on TV with David Chinchinko, who wrote Eat This, Not That.
Yeah.
And I was on the Today Show with him, and they had us do a segment together, and I was doing the sugar impact diet, and he was doing whatever it was, like the 8-16 diet. And I don't know why they put us together to do this. It was so bizarre. But here he is, who's always said, eat this, not that. And now he's saying, no, eat that, but just eat it during this time. And I'm like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. How about, eat this, but eat it during this time? Don't now say you can eat any garbage you want, just as long as it's 8 hours. So let's dive into timing, because I know you are just a absolute research fiend, and share what you found there.
Yeah, well, this is the issue of metabolic flexibility. And, it turns out that for many of us, especially people like me who have a tendency to gain weight, one of the problems is blood sugar. And so blood sugar is kind of the final common pathway with the combination of stress and what you're eating and the timing of it. So when it comes to the timing, what I found is that the most effective strategy, the most proven, is the 16-8 protocol, where you eat within an 8-hour window and you fast overnight for 16 hours. And as you probably have discovered, we know that our DNA evolved to have this period of metabolic rest from before the sun goes down until after the sun comes back up. And so most of the time, that's somewhere around 14 to 16 hours. And so this idea of eating all day long, like eating when you first get up in the morning at like 6 or 7 a.m. and, having a big lunch and having snacks, like 3 meals with snacks in between. And then you have a late dinner at like 8, 9 p.m. And then you go to bed a few hours later. Like, that is a disaster in terms of metabolic flexibility. It's just not going to help you stabilize your blood sugar. It's not going to help you have the body that you want and the fat mass that you want. So we want to restrict that metabolic.
I still think back when all that started to happen, because I was in LA at the time, and it was like, and it was like, don't let yourself get hungry.
Yes.
You better eat as soon as you wake up and then eat 2 to 3 hours later and never let yourself get hungry and have that snack before bed. Ian Smith had that in Shred.
Right.
And I'm like, what is going on here? Why are you telling people to have chocolate covered strawberries and a diet soda before bed? Like, stop it.
Yeah.
All right. Good. So, okay, back over to that. So the whole idea of giving ourselves that good, 16-hour fast eating. And I also love what you're saying, because I think when we started to look at intermittent fasting, all of a sudden was, okay, skip breakfast and have your first meal like 12 or 1 o'clock. And then you'll have dinner at 7 or 8. And I go, it really doesn't make sense to me. Like,
no.
Eat earlier. Like, but I think we're going to also find some stuff as we start to look more into early birds and night owls. But
yeah, there's some variation here, but I would say for the most part, if you look at the biology, which is what I always love to do, as you know, JJ.
Yes.
We know that first thing in the morning, like within the first few hours after you get up, that's when you're most insulin sensitive. So that's when you can eat your carbohydrates and get away with it. We know that once you hit, say, 5, 6 p.m., so we're talking now about 3 hours before you go to bed, that's when you start to increase your melatonin and your body becomes more insulin resistant. So in my mind, the best window is to eat earlier and to close the kitchen earlier.
Wouldn't it be great if we had if we had something around your kitchen where there was some kind of total lockdown that you could put in there? It would be awesome, like an armed guard, big alarm system. This is what we need.
A food armed guard, like those paramedics who came to the house.
Well, not like a hot guy. Then you're going to want to go in the kitchen, Sarah. But that is the reality, is we really need to shut the kitchen and get the heck out of there and do not go back. Like, don't go in there.
True.
Yeah. In fact, if you take one takeaway from listening to this right now, if you say, I am like eating dinner earlier and then I'm not going back in there, I'm going to stay out of there.
That's a huge takeaway.
That's like massive. That's a game changer.
So I also want to say, I work with a lot of patients who say to me, okay, that's fine. You eat between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. That doesn't fit in my life. Like, I socialize too much. I go out to dinner at restaurants. That's not going to happen. So we have to adjust for real life. And, a lot of my patients eat between 10 and 6 p.m. Other patients eat between 12 and 8 p.m., especially the ones who don't have an issue with blood sugar.
I was going to say, and the New Yorkers.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also ramp up. I had one patient who just said 16-8, that's ridiculous. I can't do that. I said, okay, could you start with 12-12?
Yeah.
Because that was an improvement for her. And then, move to 10-14, right?
Yeah, or do 12-12 and then just start working on like the weekends do it. Just work it in, cycle this in. These things can happen over time. So you can set yourself up for success.
And it's well proven. I mean, this isn't just my idea. This is actually, demonstrated by our ancestors. It's very well proven in so many randomized trials. We know it resets insulin. It does all these good things inside your cells. It triggers autophagy. It helps to kind of clear out the gunk in your cells. It's so good for you.
And it's anti-aging big time. So, so many good things. Let's talk about, because this is a little interesting thing, asymmetrical weight loss versus gain.
Yeah, asymmetric weight gain. I think this is going to resonate with a lot of our listeners. It turns out that we are wired to gain weight so much more easily than we are wired to lose weight. So there's an evolutionary reason for this, because weight loss can threaten survival. And so we tend to have this rising set point as we get older. So for most people, that means when they lose weight, the weight tends to be regained. So the body is designed, this adipostat is designed to fight you when it comes to weight loss, much more than weight gain. So it's very easy to gain weight, harder to lose weight, harder to lower that body weight set point.
Yeah, and I think for everybody listening going, well, that's not fair. We've got to look back and think about when were our bodies designed, and they were not designed. If our bodies were designed for nowadays, it would be the opposite.
Right.
right? But they were not designed for nowadays. They were designed back when food wasn't plentiful. So, this is a whole different world. And we're trying to combat, live with a body designed hundreds of thousands of years ago to deal with scarcity and bring it into a place of total abundance. So it's a different thing. So just understanding that alone helps a ton, because I think we're all like, well, wait a minute, it should be the same.
There's still many things that you can do to lower that set point. But as you said, we weren't designed to fit into our skinny jeans. Like, we were designed to plump up as we get older. And so we have to work against this evolutionary pressure. And there's ways to do it.
So I know that you have a quiz that is going to help people start to see this. Walk us through what they're going to find out from this quiz.
Yeah, so I have a quiz that looks at this brain-body connection to see if there's issues that you have that might be affecting your body weight set point. So the quiz has 18 different questions. It's pretty fast. It takes about 3 minutes. And so it includes some questions about cravings, as well as if you have a tendency to overeat. Do you eat when you're stressed? Do you have trouble sensing when you're full, which is especially an issue for women in perimenopause and menopause? Do you have a food plan that, is difficult for you to stick with? Do you eat differently in public versus private? These are some of the things that come up in the quiz.
And what I really love about this, and you'll be able to take this quiz, it is at jjvirgin.com/brain body book. And I'm saying brain body book. That is the name of Dr. Sara's book. You're going to want to grab that book. But what's really cool about all of this is this idea of making this shift, of making this transition, and really, again, continuing to move away from that ridiculous concept that our body's a bank account, to understand all these things impact it, and that you can shift this set point by healing these things, by moving the needle more that way, by working through all these different things. So I assume this quiz is going to help you identify, and then you go through the book, grab the book, and you'll be able to look at what you need to do to get your set point working in your favor, so that you can burn off stored fat for fuel. You can be metabolically flexible, because that is one of the key things you have to be able to do if you want to eat during a time restricted window. Is you better be metabolically flexible, because if you're not, your hunger is going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's, I love that you brought up the, your body is not a bank account. It's a chemistry lab. It's one of my favorite quotes from you. And I feel like if I then map that onto the science, what we know is that this old school idea of caloric restriction, which is the bank account idea, caloric restriction doesn't work, right? We know that like 98% of caloric restriction diets fail over time. We know that when it comes to something like intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating, like a 16-8 protocol, 95% of people are successful with it. 95%. So huge difference between thinking of your body as a bank account with caloric restriction versus the chemistry lab, which is what we're doing with intermittent fasting and with addressing the adipostat, addressing the body weight set point.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I mean, it's amazing to me that you still see these calorie restricted diets when it's so clear. It's one thing if you did that for a week, but you do that long term, you downshift your entire metabolism, you move your set point the wrong way, like you just mess everything up. So, I love the fact that what you're doing now is this thing that I didn't know why, but I knew was 25 years, 30 years ago, is now the science is showing it. So I wasn't crazy.
You got validated, JJ.
I wasn't crazy. I got validated. So I love this. This is super exciting. This is I'm very thrilled with this book, Brain Body Diet. I'm really excited to share it with everybody. So make sure you grab that quiz, jjvirgin.com/Brain Body Diet. And then you'll be able to go directly to the book and figure out how to move that adipostat in the right direction. Super cool. Thank you, Dr. Sara.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Now, after the break, I'll be answering a listener's question, so stay with me. Hey, welcome back. This is the time where I answer our listeners' questions. So I grabbed this one off of Instagram. We were talking about intermittent fasting, and this person said, I would love to do that, but I just get too hungry. What can I do? So here's the thing with fasting, intermittent fasting. If you want to lower your carbs, big thing that we talk about in both the Virgin Diet and Sugar Impact Diet is getting rid of snacks. You heard Dr. Sara and I talking about this. And stop eating at least 3 to 4 hours before bed. And I used to say, get up and eat within an hour of waking up. Now I'm a little more flexible with that, with all the research that's coming out. And it's somewhere, in the first couple hours of waking up. Kind of the studies are showing that somewhere before 11. So it really depends on when you're waking up, what you're doing in the morning. But it's still within a couple hours of waking up. But here's the thing. You've got to create metabolic flexibility. If you want to do time-restricted eating, say eat within the 8-hour window, you don't start there. The first thing you do is work within a 12-hour window. This is what I teach in all of my programs, and get rid of the snacks and start drinking more water in between your meals. And so the first thing we got to focus on, and you want to journal with this, is the quality of your meals, making sure that you're getting clean protein, healthy fats, and fiber from non-starchy vegetables, and a little bit of slow, low carbs. And so you want to do that, and then you want to start to stretch out your meal times. So maybe if you get up in the morning, you have breakfast, say around 9, and then you have lunch around 1, and then you have dinner around 5. That would be your first part, or 6 o'clock. You're starting to stretch it out so that your first goal is to get rid of your snacks and to eat within a 12-hour window. Right? And you do that by getting your blood sugar balanced by eating that trifecta of protein, fat, and fiber. Then you can start decreasing the time, take it to 10 hours, right? And I always say the time that I like to do time-restricted eating is on the weekends because it's easy. I sleep in a little bit more. I eat breakfast later. I eat an early dinner and close the kitchen. And you heard us, close the kitchen after dinner, right? So that's the big part, is you've got to become metabolically flexible. You got to teach your body to be able to burn fat, not store it, before you start to head into these things. Otherwise, the hunger will take you down. Super duper important. All right. If you have not yet subscribed to the show, make sure you do so you do not miss awesome episodes like this one. And there's always more to come, my friends. And I will see you next time. Bye.
That's all for this episode of the JJ Virgin Lifestyle Show, which marks another step towards a healthier body and mind. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and we'll talk to you next week.